this is obviously what we would be doing next. It's like what we've learned from each other and from our sessions together. This is the accumulation of like everything we've been through, filtered down into kind of these little gold nuggets. And we wrote it because we love love. Like we just love souls. We just want people to connect on that level. We do couples work and even with our kids or with our friends, it's like we want those deep, meaningful conversations. We don't want to just kind of like, how are you doing on the surface? I think we long to be with people and meet on that soul level. So this book was our attempt at creating the map for that, of like, really, how do we get stuck, or how do we stop ourselves from that meeting place on an ego level, or just be in trauma or attachment issues or reactivity, and then how do we really just meet?
And I think from that first paragraph and the title of our book, what we really wanted to speak to is that universal piece. Like, we didn't want this to be the book for some, special people that are into doing relationship work. We really wanted this to speak to that common longing that I think we all have. And it's this, and I wanted people to recognize that in themselves as they were reading the book.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask the readers, can you recognize that part in yourself that since the day you were born has been longing to be met in unconditional love? And that doesn't mean just romantic relationship, but with everyone in all interactions. And that craving we have for authenticity, and then examine really, what is that? Really, why do we care? Why do we care if it's a superficial interaction or an authentic interaction?
Sure.
And what it comes down for Elisa and I, and what we've seen with clients, is because there's something inherent within us that wants a soul-to-soul connection, and that's where we actually grow and transform, and where we actually meet each other and can have spiritual experiences within our lifetime.
And that's why we chose that word holy. We actually had a couple different titles. We tried like the Mystic's Guide to Relationships, or the Soul's Guide to Relationship. And then we're like, we really want to use holy on purpose, because it's usually just associated with these ideas of religion or spirituality. But we're kind of like, what is love if not holy? And I think the reason people are disappointed in relationships is because that's the factor that's missing. It's more, did I get what I thought I wanted? Is it on my checklist of what I wrote as what I wanted? Or am I humbling that ego part of myself and allowing the divine and allowing love as an energy to be present in my relationships? And it's like any type of prayer, you have to kind of start with the intention and create the altar. And for us, the altar is even the idea that that's a possibility. And then the energy of love can come in and actually has so much grace and changes the game in the relationship if you invite that element in. But it's
if
really,
you view your relationships as sacred, I think it's really hard to do relationship work unless you first bring in that element of viewing it as sacred, because then you can do much deeper work.
I feel like this is that realization is a later part of the process. Like in my mind, at least in my experience, there's childhood part, there's understanding. So I think we'll start there. And then there's also sort of the self part, and trying to heal the aspects of yourself to be able to receive it, right? To just simply receiving love is not always something people know how to do. And so let's backtrack, and I might just sort of touch on chapters, but it might not be in order here. But I think that we start with, like, what is it that shapes us? Like, what happens in our childhood? What is the progression that puts us in this place where I feel like it's almost like life is about this process of, like, having bad operating systems. Like, you've got like AOL dial-up, and then you like get older and you're like, this is just not working. And you're like, it works, but not well. And then you finally have to figure out how to upgrade the systems. And so there's kind of like an unlearning that happens, and a relearning, or even a letting go is a very much a part of it. So back to childhood, what is happening that makes us like we are?
Yeah. Well, that initial longing that I was talking about, that I believe we're all born with. And I think it's this blueprint to search for love and to search for what's real in life. And so I think we all have that inherent longing. And I think that longing is for a perfect love. But then we are searching for that perfect love through imperfect people. And so, and we're all imperfect, and we all have our shit and our wounds. And sorry, not, I don't know if I'm allowed to swear on this or not.
Swear all you like.
Yeah, great.
And that's why we named the podcast Holy and Human, because we are very realistic about the human part of that equation and the wounds, attachment issues. And
so I think
talk about that. I don't think that's something people that always really know about. I don't think that's something, I mean, even for me, just realizing, in the last, 6 or 8 years, like even the last 3 or 4 years, how pertinent and deep and impactful childhood programming and childhood experiences are, whether they're with your family, whether that's with some crush that broke up with you and like imprinted some traumatic memory of something where you learn to judge yourself in some way or put yourself down. Like there's so much stuff that happens, and you think as you go through your life, like it's you. And then finally you go, it's me every time.
Yeah.
So, I think that's I really would love you guys to speak to that part of us, that part of us that gets programmed. What happens? What's going on?
Yeah. Well, I think where we really start the work with Holy Love is first recognizing where we've been disappointed in love and where love has wounded us, because I think we need to face those things first and be really crystal clear about what that is. Because like I was saying, when we're searching for this perfect love through imperfect people, it can be really a common experience to start becoming disenchanted with love and have wounds come up, have negative relationship experiences, or have parents that don't emotionally reflect us and things like that. And so we can become disenchanted and believe that love itself is a compromise, that, for me to be loved in relationship, for me to receive this amazing gift of love, I need to act a certain way. I should be a certain way. I should be with this type of person. So we start ourselves putting conditions on love. We're like, my past relationships have gone like this, so I need to act this way in my next relationship, or I won't get any love. And like you said,
consciously or unconsciously, is that happening?
Yeah,
I would say sometimes both. I definitely unconsciously, but I think we really start. It's almost like we have no other data except for our own experience. So you look at your past, which is usually, fraught with issues, and then make predictions based on what's happened. And that's all coming from ego. Like it's kind of like you can't solve a problem from the energy level in which it was created.
Right.
So it's like we're in beta state in the ego, and then we're trying to make these predictions and assumptions from that place instead of understanding how to actually connect to love as an energy, so that we raise the vibration and get out of all of those disappointments, all of those things that happened in childhood. We all have so much of that. And it's like they say, the first 5 years of your life are the most important in your whole life in terms of determining if the world is a safe, loving place, if you're being seen, are you being mirrored in that way? And if you don't get that, you really do have to consciously do work to fix that time period in terms of your nervous system, in terms of being open to love. And it goes on more than 5. I mean, you've seen us as parents. We're so aware. I think we're almost sometimes too aware of that, our impact as parents on our kids' lives. And so we are very intense on ourselves in terms of parents of how do we do today? Did we mirror their soul? Because we know we're setting up their orientation for all their relationships. And we've prioritized that over anything else, like over our career, over financial choices. Like that has been our top thing. Cause I just feel like if you bring kids in the world and you fail at that, it's, to me, it's the most important thing.
Well, I think also when we work with people in sessions, that's what we see all the time, is people that if they haven't been emotionally met when they were young, that's where we start the work. And so we have a big section of our book that's dedicated to inner child work. And I absolutely love inner child work because as you know, how we work with soul is we encourage people to intuitively connect to their eternal self, to their soul self. This is the part of them that existed before they were born and that exists after they die. And this is the part of you that knows how to navigate love. Our ego is not great at navigating love, but our soul truly knows how to navigate love. And your soul is that source of unconditional love. So every time we talk to our soul, every time we intuitively check in with our soul, we are in a way doing reparenting work, because we're taking our lower self, our self that believes in conditional love, and connecting to our unconditional self and bringing that love energetically down into the body and having a healing experience through that.
And most of us, and we're not perfect parents by any means, but I think that's how we orient what our goals are in terms of our day and parenting, is how much was just doing and how much was being, how much were we present on a being level? Because that's what really, that's what soul connection is. And I think what's amazing is how much potential we have as humans if we didn't get that golden ticket and our parenting agreement, that we can still heal and grow so much through our connection with our soul and love. And so it's kind of like if you're listening and you didn't have that amazing parenting and you're hearing how impactful that is, that might be true. And that might be why some of your relationships have been harder, but it's not like a lost cause by any means. It's just kind of like, now you get to do that reparenting work. And it's actually, it sounds annoying, like another thing I have to do, but it's actually it feels so good.
Yeah.
Anytime you bring compassion.
And it doesn't have to take forever. You don't need to spend years on that. You know, sometimes you do. I think, usually we don't heal in an instance, you know, we kind of come back to an issue and we keep working on it. But soul is as close as your next breath, getting that information from soul and getting that information from what love would say in the situation. So often we see when people really dial into their soul that they get the intuitive information how to move forward very quickly.
And I see it like when you're playing pool, no matter how bad it gets of if the other person's winning, the game's not over till that next shot. You always have an opportunity to change the game around, no matter how late in the game it is.